This is Akashvani. Time for a weekly program, Our Guest. I hand over the mic to the show host, Nitish Arora, for the same.
Today is World Habitat Day. Of the primal needs that every individual has got, habitation is one. From strictly a hunting community, humans developed into their settlements. And now when the human population is growing at an alarming pace, at least in some pockets, habitation is one big challenge. So that's how United Nations decided to have a particular day for talking about, thinking about, bringing about a consensus on habitation needs and values. So it is in this context that we have in our studios today Miss Nandita Suman. She is an urban planner. Nandita, welcome to our studios.
Thank you.
So what was the need of this World Habitat Day? If we start with that.
World Habitat Day was started by United Nations General Assembly in 1985. They focused basically on the state of human settlement and on the basic right of all to have adequate shelter. Along with this, there is a focus on collective responsibility of us as a human being for our future habitat and cities. So these were the two major goals where we all as a human being have a basic right of having a shelter, and for a future generation we need to build the cities and habitat in such a way that it sustains.
Actually, when you're talking about habitat, it takes me down to the kindergarten stage when most of the students in nurseries are asked to make a drawing, and they'll make a drawing of a hut nestled in a mountainous region. But do we have that kind of space? What are the challenges that the habitation is facing now?
I too remember building a house, then a river flown by, back of the mountain, sunrise. So I think that sort of a habitat we all used to stay and we all aim to stay, like a habitat which is livable spaces, right? Which gives you a fresh air to breathe, a clean water to drink, and proper ventilation, sunlight, and with all the biodiversity and nature within, and also your own community and people nearby, accessibility. So but what is happening is like 2008 world saw the first time global urban population was exceeding from the rural population, and it is being estimated by 2050 that 2/3 of our population will stay in urban areas. Within the rapid urbanization and population growth, there has been increasing demand of housing, infrastructure, employment, and other needs. So what happened is like there is scarcity of land, like housing, transportation or open spaces will come on a piece of land. But with the increase in population density, it's not just a national or a state phenomena, it's a continental or a world level, global phenomena. So, and along with that, climate change has played a biggest role. So climate change has introduced us to rising sea level. Because of the rising sea level, there is submergence of various lands. So when the various settlements which were built along the shorelines or the coastlines, we say, they are now at the stake because of maybe any natural disaster or general normal sea level rise. Then there are other concepts, like we have been recently over a decade seen urban flooding. So because of the increased population, the demand of the housing and everything increased in the cities, and the concrete development started. So the narration you started from starting that there will be a nature, there will be a house. Now if we turn around ourselves, we see that we are surrounded by only buildings. Like I stay in one flat, maybe that too not a bungalow, a flat, a floor, and then I will look around, all I can see is a concrete floors, concrete buildings and everything. We have termed as a urban planner as it is concrete jungles.
So these are the problems that you are stating, and I think the list can go on on and on. Let's talk about how urban planners are tackling these problems. Are we in a position to give some honorable, nice living space to the developing urban jungle, the so-called urban jungle? Yes, there is a stress on the lands. We are clearing the forests. That is again changing the entire ecosystem, claiming land for making more cities. But is there a way of still evolving something which is in sync with the nature and is not harming to the nature and to the humans as well for having new dwellings? What are the challenges that urban planners and how they are taking on these challenges?
So the story begins like not very back, but in 2015 Sustainable Development Goals, they have a goal 11 which is about sustainable cities and communities. So their main or official mission, we say, is make cities inclusive, safe, resilient and sustainable. So what we see here is now how the world is going, their guiding principle is this, that we want a safe, sustainable, affordable and inclusive habitat, right? So all our policies at the national level or the international levels, or say any programs and schemes, are governed by these parameters. So if we talk about, there are various initiatives have been taken, like if we talk about Government of India, we have Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, which was started in 2015 again, and the mission was to give a affordable housing for all. So under this, government has provided various measures like subsidized loans were given to LIG, MIG and EWS people. There has been an increasing problem of informal settlement or say slum, and Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana took care of that too by having a slum rehabilitation program. So, and also there was direct financial assistance in this program so that people can have a loan at a subsidized rate maybe, or a direct benefit can be taken. This was one of the scheme which has been a successful or maybe an icon for India. Now the recent times, Government of India has introduced affordable rental housing complexes. In that, what happened is during the COVID time there was a lot of migration. We all have seen day to day we were hearing about the migration. So due to the migrating population, there was increasing demand of the housing. So what government did is they converted their government complexes into rental units, and they have regulated these rents, and they are also promoting public-private partnerships. Private players are maybe incentivized to build such housing which can be given to these migrant workers, because the majority of people are floating population we see in the urban areas.
Which also reduces us with a risk, because we have seen this in China, where if they look very futuristic, they have made lots of buildings, lot of apartments. And here also we find in urban areas there's a phenomenon called wherein the buyer is only a buyer, he's a futuristic buyer, he doesn't need the house. So the number of houses or flats are not less in urban areas. In fact, we have more houses than the number of people living there. It's more for investment purposes. How are we looking at that?
There are adequate number of houses, but the ranges differ. So there is not a housing shortage, as in there is shortage of affordable housing, and one term is affordable housing. Secondly, we are aiming towards eco-friendly or sustainable model of housing. So in terms of affordable housing, there are various social schemes which are going on, and in terms of sustainable or energy efficient housing, we have a concept of urban building technology, in which we introduce rainwater harvesting, solar roof panels, then fly ash bricks they are being used. So there are various parameters through which we are trying to bring changes in a real estate business model. Very interesting thing is that there is a reservation, if you are aware of, 15% reservation for EWS. If you are building any housing unit, so you have to give a 15% either FAR or a housing units for EWS. So if you are building a high-end community for MIG or HIG, then there has to be 15% reservation. So
which means the governing bodies are in the right direction, but how long it will take for us to realize the dream of a house for all?
That is a dream for all, definitely. With to be honest, with quantum of population we have, or the number of population we have currently, it is a far-fetched dream, but everyone is visioning with the Amrit Kal happening, like the vision of India. Hopefully we will be able to achieve this goal.
So now we come to the theme for this year's World Habitat Day, which is engaging youth to create a better urban future. How can we engage youth to create a better urban future? We have the maximum population of young people in India. How can we engage youth for a better urban future?
India has an advantage over demographic dividends. We will be having the largest population in terms of working population in coming years, and currently also we do have. So youth can play a major role in molding our cities or urban areas, even the rural areas, in such a way that they are self-sustainable, right? And they are itself the economic growth engine. So various measures can be taken, such as education can play a major role, and awareness, like educating them about the public spaces, the public transportation modes, the housing requirement, and how there is a governing bodies or the civic bodies work in the functioning and the maintenance of an area.
Some
Right.
changes we have seen in their style of living, because now India is also coming up with the studio apartments. The youngsters are taking to that now.
Yes, yes. So there is a concept of co-living spaces or micro housing, which is opted for these youngsters. So basically, we see all youngsters are working either in a corporate or some other firms, and the startup culture. So these people prefer to have their own apartments and maybe set up a small business. So with this concept, in metro cities, basically we have seen the increasing number of such type of dwelling units now coming up. So the major challenge which we face in this is a rental control. So there has to be a very strong policy in regards to rent. So there is one very good case study from Germany. In the world they have a very strong rental regulations. So government has a social housing project plus rental controls. So what they do is they freeze the rent. Like at a certain limit, no real estate corporates, anyone cannot increase the rent. So this becomes affordable. So the range will be affordable for maybe youth and maybe other working people and all the age group. So that can be a one way till we have our own houses, we can maybe rely on rental.
So how good is the idea of having more cities? Because already the cities that are existing, there's a lot of pressure on those cities.
Yeah.
Which is, so how good is that idea, and how can that be helpful in tackling the situation of habitation?
Seeing the cities at a different level will be very helpful. Cities doesn't only mean metro city or a metropolitan cities like we see Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Hyderabad. Cities like a tier 2 city or tier 3 city, different scales of cities are there according to the population and the area. So what we are trying that everyone should not come to a metro city or a state capital. Rather the individual or the small scale city should also be self-sustainable in terms of housing, employment, infrastructure, education facilities, health facilities. So having more cities is a good phenomena, because cities means more facilities, more opportunities, if we see city in that view, like in terms of
So,
infrastructure.
but that again will put some pressure on the environment, because to claim some cities, you need to clear the forests, you need to have those spaces, and that again will trigger another phenomena of disturbing the environment and putting pressure on our resources.
That is one phenomena, that our development comes at the cost of environment and ecology. There is disturbance, but in order to combat all this, we have like environmental impact assessment is there. Any of the project which has to be approved has to go through this assessments.
So, which also brings me to the culmination of today's program, and once again I'll bring in the topic for this year, which is engaging youth to create a better urban future. So youngsters are giving us vision on many fronts, and hopefully they will also solve the problem of habitation with their innovative ideas. Nandita Suman, thank you so much for sparing your time and being our guest today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You were listening to the weekly program Our Guest, that is broadcast every Monday at 9:15 a.m. Don't forget to tune in next week, same day, same time and same frequency for more on Our Guest. Have a nice day.